Yeah. Shalom, shalom. Somebody might be asking, Moreh, what's with the bass? Today's Psalm number 4, we're instructed to play a stringed instrument. And this stringed means it was strung up. And the idea of a stringed instrument is that you take what these are called the strings here. This is a bass. Obviously, there's several different types of stringed instruments. I think the proper word for it is naginoth. Yep. And the stringed instruments have several things in common. And again, David is writing this song, and the stringed instruments have to do with tension that is placed on each string, as well as the tune or the vibration that each string is tensioned to. If you took the tension off of here, if you unwound these and took the tension off and you played a string, it would make no music. But as soon as you take the string, and you, of course, this instrument has a body, and you tie it here, and then you tie the other part here, and you squeeze it or you tighten it, what happens is the string becomes straight. So the more tension that is on the string, the straighter the string becomes, the tighter it becomes. Once it becomes tight, then it is then tuned up and plucked and played. So when David got ready to write this psalm, he required that it would be played and sung with stringed instruments. And so this is one of the stringed instruments. This would be considered the bass, or the in an orchestra or in a band, it would be the bass line. So you just hold your part, especially the bass players. So you get this an instrument, and when you add the instrument to your meditation, especially on Psalm 4, it begins to talk about something that has to do with straightness. It has to do with also shalom. And this psalm, as you will see as we get into it, we're going to be talking about today righteousness, and what righteousness is really about. So we're going to meditate on that today, and we've done it up on the stringed instrument. Shalom, shalom, shalom to the 12 tribes of Yisrael that have been scattered worldwide to the 4 corners of the earth, and to the companions. Welcome once again to our morning meditation with Moreh, and welcome you to this morning meditation. I pray that this time that we share together is profitable. We are today looking at the 4th Psalm. We're just going to make our way through these meditations each day. And so if you have an opportunity to have your Bible, that'll be wonderful. If not, just when you get to where you are, just write down Psalm number 4. And this is, of course, another psalm of our King David. And the theme of this psalm is obviously dealing with the word righteousness. So let's read the psalm together. To the chief musician on Neginoth, and of course, a psalm of Dauid. So this particular psalm was written to be played upon stringed instruments, and so that's why you have the string instruments and the music in the background. And I played it earlier to show you what what that's all about. It was our guitar, and just to let people know that the guitar is our instrument. We started the guitar. Matter of fact, we started all instruments. When it comes to the trumpet, when it comes to the stringed instruments and all that, that comes from us. That comes from the heart of civilization, out of Mesopotamia, where we are from, and then of course throughout all of what they call today Africa, and then from there it spread all over the world. So that's one of the reasons why we can play these instruments, so many of us, and we can do it so natural. When you listen to the Hebrew Israelites or the Israelite people sing and play and pick up anything and play it, is because it was always a part of our people, it's always a part of our culture. And of course, it is not the modern day stuff that you hear today that's coming out of Europe. That's most of that stuff, and most of those instruments are copycats from the biblical instruments, like the original, and I'm just going to use the term, the original guitars, the original, what they say, a harp, or stringed instrument, that's a harp. So we don't read over in meditation. Remember, we don't read things too fast. So when we look at the word Neganoth, we stop, we look it up, and we find out what that is, and then we're able to see that there must be a correlation, because King Dauid is not just saying something just to be saying it. And so I'll use two words today that you might want to look up in your meditation time, and that is, you want to look up tone and harmony. Tone and harmony, or to tune, I should say, and harmony. Because being in tune and being in harmony with Yah is a key to meditation. And so when you play music, of course, the key to all music is, again, or I should say this because this is not a music theory, but I just want you to understand something, is that for a song to really be music, it needs to have first rhythm, some type of a rhythm. It needs to have melody, or some type of a melody line, and it needs to have harmony, and that is what makes music. And if it's true in music, then it's also true in our relationship with Yah, that our walk with Him has to be, number one, in cadence with Him, and that is another word where we talk about order my steps, or to be in step. It is what's considered to be our rhythm of life. And so we follow His lead. He sets the tempo. He sets the actual cadence of life that we follow. Secondly, we must be in tune with Him. And of course, He sets the tune. He is the one who sets the tune. We are to be tuned to His frequency. And part of our meditation, Zion, is to get away from just all of the weird and low frequencies of this world, because the world is operating on a very low frequency. And what I mean by that is, the more unrighteous and the more satanic this world gets, and the more evil men get, the more people will get used to a certain vibration in the earth, so that they're so used to a certain vibe that is satanic, is that they seem to always want to rush and be a part of a weird vibe. And one of the things we must meditate on, Yisrael, when we meditate, we must meditate to try to get away from this weird vibe of the earth. One of the problems that we have, especially in Zion right now, is that there seems to be this natural gravitation toward mess and lies and what's the word? There's a lot of talking about people and putting people down and a whole lot of arguing. All that stuff is a very, very low frequency. And because Satan is the God, of this world. He is a little God of this world. He has everybody operating on a very low frequency. And when you operate like that, in a weird and satanic frequency, it's hard for you to actually hear when Yah is speaking to us. It's actually difficult to discern what is good and what's bad. And so we are taught throughout Scripture always that we need to be in tune with Him, or that we need to walk with Him, or be in communion with Him. And it's the idea of being in tune. The second, so we are into cadence with Him, and then we're also in tune with Him. And number three, as we begin to meditate, we need to understand that there is, not only do we need to be in step and in tune, but there also needs to be harmony. There needs to be harmony. Now, if you play an instrument, or if you are an instrument and you are a single voice instrument, for instance, one of the instruments I play is a saxophone. And the saxophone has one voice. And so you can only play one note at a time, and when you play a saxophone, theoretically. So therefore, most of the time when you see sax players, they are in a band or in a group of people. And of course, that band, then other people have other instruments, and when they play together and it sounds right, it's because they have found what we call the groove, or they have found harmony. And so we are in cadence together. We are tuned to Yah together, and then when we play, everybody plays their part, and it makes a beautiful music and it's beautiful harmony. So one of the things that happens in music that we have to be aware of also is being in what they call, when there is distortion, or what is that word? When there is, what we have to be aware of when we are in a band is discord. Now, what is discord? Discord is the thing that happens when we are not in harmony. And I discovered that as we seek to wake up Jacob, one of the issues that seems to be so popular among us, which is, I don't really understand it, is there's so many people sowing discord among the brethren. When we're all trying to wake up to truth, then we have people sowing discord, which simply means they're out of harmony, they're out of rhythm, they're out of tune. They're not flowing with the melody of Yah. And right now, we have to be careful of that. Psalm number 4 speaks to that, and it's on another level. I understand that. But for us today, we're going to look at the idea of righteousness, because that is really a part of the theme, one of the themes in this very important song. So here's our king once again, David, talking to us about righteousness. He says, "Hear me when I call, O Elohim of my righteousness." So here he says that it is Elohim that is his righteousness. It's Elohim of his righteousness. In other words, he's saying my righteousness is righteous because it is from Elohim. He's my righteousness, and he's the one who has made me righteous. One of the words that we often hear, or one of the teachings that you hear, especially coming out of the Christian church, most of us have come out of that Christian church. One of the teachings that is taught is when they quote, "There is none righteous, no, not one." So what they do when they teach you that is that they keep you always thinking that being righteous is something that you can accomplish. One, that's just not true. The wicked and the righteous are held juxtaposition all throughout Scripture. Who is right and who is wicked? If there's wickedness, then there's righteousness. So So we got to understand that when it says there is none righteous, no, not one, you have to understand that what is he talking about? What is the context in what he's talking about? Who is he talking to, and why does he even make that statement? And because that's not our verse for today, eventually we will get to that. What he is saying is that there is no human being alive that has established righteousness. Do you understand that? That righteousness is not born from the mind of a man. So a man without Yah, anyone who's not following Torah, cannot be righteous. He can't, because he doesn't have what it takes to be right. So it doesn't mean that a person cannot be righteous. It means a person without Yah cannot be righteous. There is no man alone by himself just going to come up with I'm righteous. No, your righteousness is as a filthy rag. So when we talk about human righteousness, it is unrighteous. So when we get to that, I'll explain to you that when he talks about there is none righteous, he means in and of himself. But there are thousands, maybe millions, I don't know if it's in the millions, of righteous people who are righteous because they're on what's called the right path. They're righteous because they are doing things according to that which is right. They're not trying to establish their own righteousness, but they are following a righteous path that has already been established. Yah is the establisher. He has established righteousness in the world or in the earth. And his righteousness, Zion, is Torah. His righteousness is his instructions to us. His righteousness is how we live and how we follow him. Did you get it? Okay. So then can a person be righteous? Of course they can if they are following Torah. When you follow the Torah, you're righteous. When you do not follow Torah, then you are unrighteous. And here's one of the issues that King David had. This is the issue that many of our teachers and preachers and prophets have had throughout the centuries, and that is, what makes people want to follow people who violate Torah, who violate the biblical instructions, who go along with man's way of doing something and not want to follow Yah? So that's one of the issues and problems that we'll find all through Scripture, is that people constantly want to do things their way, and as a result, violate Torah. So hear me, O Yah, hear me when I call, O Elohim, of my righteousness. And that particular word, let me give it to you in Hebrew. It is the word Zadik. And if you're looking it up in your Strongs, you're going to find it in 6664. And it's Zadi, Dalet, Kuf. Okay? Zadi, Dalet, Kuf, Zadik. And the idea of Zadik in Hebrew, because that's the people who wrote the Bible, that is their culture. They lived this. They spoke it fluently. They understood Zadik. They understood that righteousness is the following of a particular established path. Okay, on this path, it has already been laid out for you. It's already there. You don't have to add to it. You don't take away from it. You follow the path. So the word Zadik has to do with the following of a path, or the following of a particular course of action. And the idea to follow means to mimic or to obey. And Zadik has several applications. Of course, the most important one is a father to a child. All right, so a father to a child, as a father says, follow me to a child, that in the Hebrew mindset, it means do what I'm doing, go where I'm going, follow me. All right, so the father then sets the example, and the children then follow the father's example. Once again, be in tune with me, be straight with me, line up with me. Remember, I talked about the stringed instrument being tied from one end to another, and then as it is in line, it is then tensioned properly so that when it is played, it makes a proper tune, as you are in tune with the Father. So the idea of following him is the word Zadik. The word is translated oftentimes in our scripture as righteous or just or justice or righteousness. And here's the picture. One of the purposes for this idea of righteousness is so that you won't get lost. You follow the prescribed path to keep you from getting lost. Why? Because as we journey through the wilderness of this world, as we journey through the fields of this world, there are several things and several people that are all often trying to pull you off the right path. And not only are there evils from without, but there's also evils from within, that is within you, that want to veer from one path to another path. So what righteousness does, and this is why I'm redefining righteousness, so that you all will get out of your mind that there can be nobody righteous. That's just not a biblical truth. Matter of fact, none but the righteous shall see Yah. You have to be righteous, which means you have to be following him. Now, one of our issues, again, I'm bringing this up, is we have a tendency to want to follow people who are not righteous. And when I say not righteous, I mean who will violate Torah. That seems to be one of the major problems that we have, and we see it being addressed by our king. It's not new to Zion. He says, O Yah of my righteousness, thou hast enlarged me when I was in distress. Have mercy upon me and hear my prayer. So he's saying, I'm walking with Yah, I'm in tune with Yah, and when I was really going through it, when I was really suffering, Yah heard me and he enlarged me, which means he was gracious unto me. I'm using another word. It's our word for to enlarge means to help very much. He helped him and he brought him up and blessed him. O you sons of men, how long will you turn my glory into shame? What? Yes. So here we have a very interesting, a very interesting line. He says, the sons of men. Okay, so what he's doing then is he's identifying the unrighteous. He's identifying the ungodly, if you want to use that term. So he considers himself the son of Yah, or the righteousness that comes from Yah, because he's following Yah's ways. Versus other people, the sons of men, who are not following Yah, they're following the ways of men. And one of the problems that he sees here is that the sons of men, how long will you turn my glory into shame? So the word glory, we know, is the word kavod, and I don't have time to get into all that, but it means my weight. My glory means, it has to do with a word that we would use that means heavy or serious. Like, this thing is really serious and you're turning it into a light thing. You're playing with what Yah is doing. You're taking lightly the work of Yah and the establishing of leadership and the establishing of righteousness among Yah's people. So therefore you take that which is righteous and heavy and you turn it into something that's very shameful. And his question was, how long y'all gonna do that? How long are you gonna keep taking the things that Yah is trying to do in the world and the people that Yah is trying to use in the world? How often are we going to ridicule them and make light of them and try to put them to shame? How long is this gonna go on? He says, how long will you love vanity? There, look at that word vanity. If you go and do the research behind that word, you're going to get the word lie. It's one of our issues, Zion, and this is in our meditation. One of the things we got to do when we sit back and meditate on Yah's word is ask yourself, how long are we going to love the lie? I mean, just recently, it's happened to the ARK. We knew it was coming because a whole bunch of other ministries have been, ridiculed, and certain men just seem to get this weird joy out of going to everybody who's trying to teach and help Zion. And men and women, they're doing this like they just create lies and then they try to back up the lies and all that. And one of the problems in Zion is that they love it. They love it, and that's why people keep doing it. They do it for their 15 minutes of fame. They do it to try to make themselves look good, or like aha moment, like I showed the world, I've showed them. It's like, no, it's a lie. And people love lies, and that's why people follow lies. And even to this moment, to this very day, Hul and I have been telling people the works that we've done and the work that we've done throughout the years have been righteous work all over the world, meeting people, teaching people, helping people. It's righteous, it's real, it's according to Torah. And that the lies that people have told about us and about other groups, other ministries out there, why do people love it? And the question that the psalmist says, until when will you stop? That's really what it says in Hebrew. The way it's written in Hebrew is like, okay, how long y'all gonna do this? And unfortunately, here in this country, it's so unfortunate that people love that kind of stuff. It's messy and they love it. But Zion, we got to come out of that, because there's no time for that. We have to walk in truth. All right? So he says, how long will you love a lie and seek after? Now that word where it says leasing in verse 2, that word is fake or false. So how long are you going to love the lie, and how long are you going to keep pursuing after something that's false? I can't speak for all the different ministries, but when I'm meditating, I'm thinking about what David was thinking about, and I'm thinking about how it applies to me. And again, when you meditate, because that's what these series is about, to help you in your meditation, how do these verses apply to you? So I'm just sharing with you some of the ways I apply this to me. When I looked at this verse and I said, people love vanity, they love lies, and they seek after false. I never shall forget when we got off of our 30-day travel, or we went all over the South, or from here to Louisiana and then back. We did like 6 or 7 cities, and then we did about 15 or 20 meetups as far as our meetings and Bible studies and all that. When we got back here, and the internet, people was just blowing up like about something, and I said, oh, well, that's not true. And I made a video. I said, oh, that's not true, it's false. And then people was like, well, somebody said they got the receipts. And I said, what are you talking about? I said, that you're talking about what happened back when we were coming up out of the Christian church? Yeah, that whole thing has been fabricated. That whole court and all those accusations were all lies. And what went through the court and how they won the case and all that has been part of my testimony. But we never stole any money. They said we borrowed money they said we borrowed money to steal it. That's so stupid. We had to borrow money to save a building that was getting ready to be taken by the bank, because the adversaries had took money. all the money with false documents and stole it out of the banks so we couldn't pay the mortgage. But that never came out in the online thing. People just kept lying and they like, man, we heard, man, that you shut the place down, locked it up and all that. But they didn't say, well, Moreh, did you have to lock the building? Then I would have said, of course. The police told me to lock it because I lived out of town. I commuted back and forth, and people were breaking into the building while I was gone, and it was my responsibility to secure it. So all the stuff, by the time we got to court, it was so many lies that it was just ridiculous. But this is not about the court case. What I'm saying is when I got back, I just told the people in the short video, it's all a lie. And then people were saying, is your wife operating in some kind of weird... I was like, oh no, that's a lie too. What about that red bracelet? I was like, what are they talking about? And then she said, they're talking about my shimmer bracelet. I said, they think, they don't even know when we was in the Holy Land, we were looking for gifts. And the shimmer bracelet, the reason why it was red was because it was the only color they It was the only color that was left on the rack. It was red. That was it. All the other colors was gone. But she wanted to get something for her close friends. It says Shema on it because of the Shema Israel. And you already know how that's one of the things that we do everywhere we go is we sing the Shema, which is Deuteronomy chapter 6. And so people that's close to her, she thought that would be a great gift because that was one of the uniting things that ever happened. But watch what people did. What people did when folks started saying a bunch of stuff, they went after the lies, they believed the lies, and they start pursuing that which was false. And no matter how many times we would say, hey, that stuff is false, people kept saying. But the people that were Zaddik, the people that were righteous, the people that were walking in Torah, and the people that, most of the people that have had an opportunity to know us personally, we're like, first of all, Moreh, we ain't going along with none of that madness, man. That is something that David said. He said, how long you turn glory into shame, and that glory doesn't mean I'm glorified as a person. He meant that a position that Yah has given me that is very heavy, how long you gonna make fun of it? Number two, he says, how long are you going to love vanity, which means you're gonna believe lies? And then he says, how long are you gonna seek after lacing, which is or leasing, which means how long you're gonna keep pursuing something that's false? You're wasting time, Zion, and you're doing it, you're wasting time at a time where we don't need to be wasting time. We're wasting time pursuing false when we really should be pursuing that which is true. And what is true? Torah is true. Verse 3, but know that Yahuwah has set him apart that is godly. So there is that word again, for himself. So the word godly, and I'm not going to do it, I can't do every word, but in my meditation, I will go back and study that word godly. And that particular word means the doer of righteous things. That's a godly person, a person who actually reads the Bible, reads the scriptures, and then says, I'm going to do those things. When you do what the scriptures tell you to do, then Yah has set you apart as, that word there is a word godly. Okay, and those are distinct. Yah takes the doers of his word and sets them in a particular place and in a category apart from everybody else. Yahuwah will hear when I call him. Verse 4, stand in awe in English, but in Hebrew, that word literally says, be angry. That's what it says. It says you can be angry. You can get upset. There's nothing wrong with being mad or angry. I shouldn't say mad, that's a different word. But to be angry or to be upset, for your nose to flare, he says, and sin not. He said, you can get disturbed, but don't sin. bother, but don't sin. Here's instructions. He's saying you could be going through some things. Do not sin. And what's sin mean? Break Torah. Which is exactly what happened to us. It happened to me and Hula. People who wanted to talk to us about whatever or say anything, or people who wanted to talk about us and the work, not one of them spoke to us. So you know what that means? They had no problem sinning. They broke Torah. Torah says, hey, if you believe your brother or your sister or a Moreh or a leader or an elder, if you believe that they have been overtaken in any type of a fault, it says you who are spiritual, go to them. Talk to them. That's the scripture. Not one person this whole time that's been putting out information about our work and our ministry, not one of them have come and talked to us personally, which means they violate Torah. So the question is, in this psalm, why are other people following people who are openly violating Torah? And the hurt is on our babies. The hurt is on the children. That's something that's rough. When I'm meditating on this, the Bible tells me it's okay to get up, to be angry, but one thing you cannot do is you cannot sin. He says, continue with your own heart upon your bed. Again, in the meditation time, what you have to do is that you have to be like, all right, let me examine myself. When all the noise is gone, when it's time for me to be alone and quiet, and I'm trying to think about something, he says, commune, not continue, commune with your own heart. Commune means to fellowship or to eat or to think or to be in one accord. He's like, really, really, really think about it. Check your heart. Make sure that you're doing things righteous with the right motive. And that's something that he's saying. This idea of just running behind lies, running behind falsehoods, running behind this, oh, I heard this, oh, I heard that. Zion, we got to stop that. Chill out and commune with your own heart. Make sure you're righteous. Make sure you're lined up with Torah. Make sure the things that are taking your time and your energy is righteous. Be still, he said. Why? Because it seems like one of our issues is, man, we just can't be still, like we can't be quiet. Turn off the television. Turn off the computer. Turn off your phone. Spend some quiet time and ask Yah before you just start acting and reacting. And watch this, making light of that which Yah is made heavy, making fun of that which Yah is serious about, following lies instead of following Yah's truth, and pursuing that which is false instead of pursuing that which is the truth. This is a meditation song. Number 5, and I'm almost done. Number 5, offer the sacrifices of righteousness. Offer the sacrifices of righteousness. Okay, David, I don't understand. What are you saying? He's saying to Zion, he said, no matter what is going on in this world, no matter what you hear, no matter what you watch, no matter what people tell you, you have to continue on the right path. You do. You have to continue teaching, reading, praying, and doing that which is right. Now watch this word, offer. That word offer really is the word that we have to give. You have to continue to give. And when I read this text for the first time, I actually thought it meant like, oh, okay, just say, oh, I'll just give you praise. It's not what he's saying. It's not about a mouth thing. When you offer a sacrifice in our culture, it meant that you gave something. You have to give. And giving we've been kind of messed up mentally because we live in a world where people are used to going like to church. So a lot of times when they give, if they give at all, they give like once a week, or maybe once every 2 weeks, or maybe once a month, and they say, "Well, I've given." And but our culture is a little different than that. The way our culture is that you had a daily sacrifice. So there was in our culture a daily sacrifice. So every day you were to give something. So however you did that, and of course I don't want to get into that with the temple and all that, but the principle was the Hebrews, the Israelite people, were a giving people because giving is a part of this path of righteousness. So we're always told to give, to give, to give, to give. So every day, this path that we're on requires us to give. And so when we don't give, then we become selfish and self-centered. But when we give, then we become selfless and we become more like our Abba Yah. So every day on the righteous path, we must seek out opportunities to give. To give to who? Well, of course, it's now to give to Yisrael. It's to give to support Israel. Number one. And I'm not talking about dirt Israel, the land Israel. I'm talking about the people. So let's say in my meditation, I was like, okay, how can I give? And I was praying, and the Most High revealed to me that we are to make ourselves a living sacrifice. Every day, we are to be sacrificing something of ourselves for the good of someone else. Every day. So, in my case, I got to sacrifice time and energy and effort to study the text, to study the words, to study Hebrew, to study our culture. So why am I doing that? So then I can then take what I'm studying and then give it to the people that need to know it in the awakening right now, worldwide. We need to give of our time and of our energy and of our efforts. But we're also supposed to every day find ways to physically give to someone. So not only am I sharing the text and using time and energy and effort to do so, but we also, as a body, should be looking for ways to give every day. Today, Yah, how can I give to support the kingdom? For some of you, it's going to be like a regular gift to the ARK. To others, it may be a gift to someone that you know is trying to learn the scriptures. It could be giving them books. It could be giving them research tools. It could be giving whatever the daily sacrifice is. You need to find that. Because if you become a giver and offer the sacrifices of righteousness. So let me give you that word, and I see that my time is once again gone before I could even get into it. The sacrifices of righteousness means when you look at what you have and what Yah has blessed you with, you know you're supposed to give it. So you want to, number one, make sure that you're giving him the right thing, that you're investing into the kingdom, that which he is telling you to do. So get rid of yourself and your selfishness and start thinking about how you can help one another. Number two, be righteous when you give. In other words, when you give, even if you are giving to support a work like the ARK or any other of these ministries that you feel like I need to be a supporter, because some of you, Yah is telling you that you are supposed to support certain works. If you are doing that, make sure that when you give from a righteous heart. Give expecting nothing in return except the blessings of Yah. Make sure that you have the right disposition. The word of righteous sacrifice not only means giving that which is right, but doing it from a right heart or a right place. Number two, be honest in your giving. We need to meditate more on honesty. You know, people say, I've given all I've got. Are you really? I'm doing the best I can. Is it really the best? I just don't have nothing. Is it true that you just don't have nothing? When we meditate upon our bed, when we commune with our own heart and come to the reality and stop living in falsehood and start living real, it takes examination, and then it's going to take a whole lot to pull away from the way the vibrations of this world have us thinking, and to line up and be in tune with my Abba Yah. All right, so he says, and put your trust in Yahuwah. So when we give, that word there is sacrifice, and we're sacrificing according to the righteous path that we're on. Some of us might say, if I do this, then I'm not going to have this. Okay, let's find if that's true or not. Verse 5, and put your trust in Yahuwah. There he says, do what Yah says and then trust Yah. That's the text. Do what Yah says and then trust Yah. He said that he would bless you, he would give, he would support you, he would continue to pour out blessings. When you become a giver, then he will give to you. And if you are doing it on a regular basis and every day saying, how can I contribute something to the nation of Israel, the children of Israel? I'm not talking about Israelis. I'm not dealing with Zionism right now. I'm talking about how do we help an awakening nation on a regular basis, and how do I offer myself a living sacrifice on a everyday regular basis. And if I do that, how do I trust Yah? Well, it's easy. Everybody who's ever done that will testify that Yah be a debtor to no man. All right? So you put your trust in him. There be many that say, who will show us any good? See? I told you, when you read these Psalms, it's like they were written yesterday. They're saying, okay, if we do this and we do all this good to help other people, who gonna be good to me? Who gonna show me kindness? Who's gonna show me, watch this, function? And then it says, Yahuwah, lift thou up the light of thy countenance upon us. He says, Yah. When you give, what Yah is going to do is that Yah is going to allow his own face to shine upon your face, and that is going to be your reward. He's going to, face to face means it's another word that has to mean eye to eye. It means that you'll be seeing the way he sees, that you'll feel the way he feels, and that you start thinking the way he thinks, and that you'll move the way he moves, you give the way he gave, and you start operating in harmony, you start operating in tune, you start operating in step, in time. Hallelujah. He says in verse 7, thou hast put what? Gladness in my heart. Those of us who follow Torah, we know that he's put gladness in our heart. More than in the time of their corn and their wine increase. What? Corn and wine, talking about liquor. He's like, I am more, and wine. He said, man, I'm more happy now than I could be. Yah has made me more happy in my soul now that I'm walking and following him in righteousness than in the time of when they bring in the corn and make the liquor and make the food and bring in the wine and make the grapes. You know, that's like happiness too, but it's more of a manufactured happiness based on the fact of the happenings. But here he's saying, no, I got joy and gladness in my heart more than in the time of their corn and their wine increase. I will lay me down in peace and sleep. Once again, what can you do to buy peace? How much would you pay for some peace and quiet and a good night's sleep? I know people, read about people who have millions and billions of dollars, can't sleep at night. And there are people that's broke, can't sleep at night. And why? One, if you've done wrong, your sleep gonna be disturbed. If you spreading discord in Israel, your sleep disturbed. If you call yourself going to expose somebody and the exposition that you're doing is a lie, your sleep is disturbed. If you're talking about you're no longer going to be following Torah because you started listening to lies, your sleep is disturbed. If you're talking about throwing the towel in on Yah, because some people say, you know what, if the Hebrews can't get it together, I might as well go back to church. Your sleep will be disturbed. And people talk about, well, you know what, I'm just going to be done with all people and I'm not dealing with nobody. Your sleep will also be disturbed. You're not going to get restful sleep when you're outside of Torah. You have to stay on the path. You have to keep moving. You have to keep giving. You have to keep loving. You have to keep, watch this, forgiving. When I got back here, and I'm going to use myself and I'm going to close with this, people kept saying, you know, you got to forgive, man. Well, the first day was when I found out what was going on, then they said, you got to forgive these people. And I was like asking the Most High. I said, first of all, not one of them has come and even asked me for forgiveness. Not one. Even though now everybody knows it's a lie, not one person has said, man, please forgive me for whatever I did, because I didn't come to you, I didn't talk to you, I didn't try. So, one, I already know that was the work of Hasatan. It's not the work of Torah. But number two, I realized something, that I personally had to put myself in a position to when the people did ask for forgiveness, that I could forgive from a pure heart. You see that? So yes, it goes both ways. If you're going to sleep at night, you have to come to a resolve, because Torah is on both sides. And so I asked the Most High in my prayer life to give me the heart that is like King David, to give me the heart that is toward him, to give me the heart that is able to say, Yah, forgive them, because they really don't know what they're doing. And the reason why I believe he had to get me to that point is because the position that he's given me as a Moreh in the kingdom means I can't be not drugged like drugs. I can't be dragged down by anything or anybody. The position and the vibration that Yah wants to send out into the world is a high position, it's a high vibration. And low life living and low life murmuring and backbiting and video making and all that stuff to hurt Zion has to be below me. That's my meditation. But it's not only below me, it has to be below you, Zion. We're marching toward the kingdom. We need to be able to lay down in peace, that means shalom, and sleep. For you, O Yah, only maketh me to dwell in safety. I hope this time of meditation has been wonderful for you as it was for me. Again, I'm just letting you all in to some meditation time and how I meditate on scripture and how I apply what I'm reading to my own life. And I pray that you do the same. When you read these scriptures, think about what's happening in your life, what's going on around you. Don't only look at yourself in the positive, but also look at yourself from the negative. Is this me, Yah? Am I one of the sons of men who are not taking things serious and not really understanding how important the times is? Is it me? You got to look at both sides. Am I walking righteous and people misunderstanding the righteous walk? And whatever it is, then that's when you begin to meditate. That's when that idea of meditation becomes real, and you begin to walk in the truth of Yah, and you start seeing yourself as an instrument that is to be used to bring honor and glory to the Most High Yah. That's all I have. Stringed instrument. It's my voice. Y'all have a beautiful day. One love. Stay strong, stay in the word, stay in Torah. It's going to be all right, Zion. Shalom.